Imagine doing something wrong, not something terrible, just wrong. Maybe you stole some bread. Maybe you looked at the king the wrong way. Maybe you simply owed someone money and couldn't pay it back. In today's world, you'd go to court, maybe pay a fine, maybe go to jail. But in the ancient world, what happened to you would be so horrifying that people today can barely believe it was real. These weren't myths. These weren't legends. These were actual punishments given to actual people for real crimes. And some of them will make you genuinely grateful to be alive right now. This is the most brutal punishments in ancient history. Let's start with ancient Persia, and something so disturbing it has its own name. It's called Scaphism, and once you hear it, you will never forget it. Here's what they did. The condemned person was stripped naked and tied between two boats. Both boats had holes cut out, just enough to leave the head, hands, and feet sticking out. Then the executioners force-fed the prisoner milk and honey until they had severe diarrhea. They also poured honey all over the exposed skin, the face, the hands, the feet. Then they left them floating on a stagnant pond under the open sun. The warmth attracted insects, flies, wasps, mosquitoes. They would swarm the body, lay eggs inside the waste trapped beneath the boats. The person would stay alive, sometimes for days, and as insects slowly consumed them from the outside in. The Persians didn't want a quick death. They wanted the punishment to be remembered, and it was. Now let's go to ancient Rome. Rome was one of the greatest civilizations in human history. Incredible architecture, brilliant laws, stunning art, and some of the most creative punishments ever invented. The Romans had a punishment called Damnatio ad Bestias. Translation: condemnation to the beasts. Criminals, often slaves, prisoners of war, or early Christians, were thrown into an arena, not to fight, not with weapons, just thrown in. And then the gates opened. Lions, bears, leopards, wild boars, wolves starved for days before the event, so they were desperate and aggressive, and thousands of Roman citizens would sit in the stands and watch, eating, cheering. To them, it wasn't cruelty, it was entertainment. But Rome had another punishment that was even more psychologically devastating. It was called Damnatio Memoriae, the condemnation of memory. If you truly angered Rome, they didn't just kill you, they erased you. Your name was chiseled off every statue, every building, every document. Your face was scratched out of paintings. Your coins were melted down. It was as if you had never existed. For Romans who believed deeply in legacy and honor, this was worse than death. Now let's talk about ancient Greece, and one invention that makes everything else look mild. It was called the Brazen Bull. A Sicilian inventor named Perellos built it as a gift for the tyrant Phalaris. It was a life-size hollow bull made entirely of bronze. The condemned person was locked inside through a door in the side. Then a fire was lit underneath. The bronze heated slowly. The person inside began to burn alive. But here is the part that makes it truly horrifying. Perellos designed it with a special system of tubes inside the bull's head. As the person inside screamed, those tubes transformed their screams into sounds that came out of the bull's mouth as a roar. The crowd outside heard a bull bellowing, not a human screaming. Perellos was so proud of his invention that he demonstrated it to the tyrant in person. The tyrant was so disgusted, he locked Perellos inside the bull first. Some stories do have a twisted kind of justice. Now we travel to ancient China, where punishment became an art form. The Chinese had a method called Lingchi. In English, it's translated as death by 1,000 cuts. It was reserved only for the worst crimes: treason, killing a parent, harming the emperor. The executioner's job was not to kill quickly. The job was to make the process last as long as humanly possible. Small slices, methodical, deliberate. Starting from the outer parts of the body, the executioner was actually trained and graded on how long they could keep the person alive. Lingchi was finally abolished in China in 1905. The last recorded execution of this kind was photographed, and those photographs shocked the entire Western world when they were published. Medieval Europe also had no shortage of creative cruelty. One method was so simple, it's almost hard to believe. They would strap a metal bucket containing live rats to a prisoner's stomach. Then they would heat the outside of the bucket with fire. The rats, panicking from the heat, had only one direction to go: into the prisoner. No weapons, no blades, just terrified animals and heat. Medieval interrogators used this specifically to extract confessions. People would confess to absolutely anything to make it stop, which meant many of the confessions were completely false. Innocent people, punished for crimes they never committed. So here's the question that lingers after all of this. Why were ancient punishments so extreme? The answer is actually simpler than you'd think. Ancient societies didn't have prisons the way we understand them. They didn't have police forces. They didn't have surveillance cameras. The only tool they had to prevent crime was fear. Public, visible, unforgettable fear. Punishments weren't just about the person being punished. They were a message to every single person watching. Don't even think about it. And it worked. For thousands of years, it worked. Until eventually, humans started asking a different question. Not, how do we make punishment more terrifying? But, how do we make society more just? That shift, that single change in thinking, is what separates the ancient world from ours. We still haven't fully figured it out, but at least nobody is heating a bronze bull anymore. Probably. If this video made you think, or made you deeply uncomfortable, subscribe. Because history doesn't get lighter from here, it gets stranger, and we're just getting started. See you in the next one.